Hi there and welcome folks. Today on this video, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the US job market. So I'm assuming that, since if you're watching this video, you're probably kind of in the same shoes that I'm in. I am looking for my new job, either contract or FTE, after completing my 2-year contract at Wells Fargo. May 22nd, it was the end of my contract, and since then I've been actively in the market. And I've been working last 2 decades, give and take 20 plus years, in the data analysis, data analytics space. And I assume a lot of different kind of similar titles, whether data analyst, the business systems analyst, business analyst. Uh, Nowadays, sometimes the data science kind of come into play. Anyway, it's been usually in this area. And I was, needless to say, we all know this now, the last couple of years, especially, uh, I started from September, October of 2023, um, I started noticing myself something going on in the industry. And especially after, January 2024, beginning of this year, and particularly, I was aware of that, as early as February, March. In particular, I've been more active, aggressively looking for my new contract or my new job after the end of my contract. Uh, this current situation is really representing perfectly a boost cycle of the especially tech sector. So when I say tech, first of all, I want to mention that most of the tech jobs are outside of the big tech giant companies, such as Meta, Alphabet, who owns Google, or Meta, who owns Facebook, or Microsoft, or eBay, or those, or Amazon. So most of the time, I've been working at either banks or insurance companies or healthcare companies, and I've been providing, like I said, and been working in the data analytics space in those companies. The situation right now that, as you all know, right now, we've been noticing a serious, severe uh, decline of the new job openings. Just to kind of put things in perspective, I want to share some numbers with you. Um, the year 2022 number of tech jobs, and these numbers are only tech jobs by tech companies. Um, the year 2022 was 169,000 employees were laid off. 2023, 265,000 tech employees were laid off. And this year, 2024, up to now, up to date, 120,000 approximately tech employees have been laid off. And it's counting. There is still no indication that it's going to slow down, and it's still going. Um, we all know that, especially in the U.S. market, U.S. job markets, and U.S. economy, um, it's given nature of the U.S. economy in general. Almost every sector has its own busts and booms. IT sector in general, technology sector is not an exception to it, and we all are right now experiencing this current decline. And everybody is coming with their own explanations, and everybody has a point. Everybody has their own, obviously perceptions, and I have too. And what we're hearing mostly is when we look at the reasons behind that, the decline, some people are kind of putting the blame mostly on artificial intelligence. Some people are putting the blame on overhiring during the COVID or right after the COVID. And some people are putting squarely the blame on the rising interest rates, as Fed has been trying to fight with the inflation, and they've been rising, as you know, the last couple of years, the interest rates All these are factors. I'm not arguing against that. All these things, all these are factors. But I don't believe every one of them as a single factor can explain what is happening. They're all kind of contributing to this to a certain extent, and they all have some kind of interrelationships, intercorrelations amongst them. Yes, obviously, the rising interest rates is making the business investments more expensive, therefore riskier than it's going to have. It might have, especially in the decline phase. It's going to have a particularly strong impact. The other one is yes, during the after the COVID, after the economy was recovering from the COVID, the closing, all this shutdown during the COVID, and I remember, excuse me, I remember number of unemployed people during the COVID, end of 2019, and during the entire year of 2020, and well into 2021, the number of unemployed hit the number 40 million people. There was 40 million people were unemployed then. And then starting kind of half of 2021, they started hiring, and they started hiring very aggressively. So that's why people are referring to that period of time as overhiring. They were trying to kind of compensate with the losses that they incurred. And companies realized that they didn't need that many people. And starting 2022, especially I would say after the first or second quarter of the year 2022, they started aggressively letting go people, laying off people. Hence the number was, like I said, 169 in 2022, and it was a lot higher, 265,000 the next year, 2023. And when you look at the numbers now, we're now in August, so we're in the third quarter. The numbers are 128,000. What do you think? Maybe kind of relatively a little better number if you consider there's one more quarter after that, a month after the only, the fourth quarter. Maybe it's going to be less than 200,000. Who knows? We'll see. It's interesting that when Elon Musk bought Twitter and renamed it to X, his famous move, he basically laid off 80% of the workforce from Twitter. And he was explicitly saying this, that, hey, folks, look at this. I just let go 80% of the employees from Twitter. You still have the same Twitter on your smartphone. Do you see anything different? Do you have any problems? No. You can still use the same Twitter with the same functionalities and everything that you're accustomed to without any problems. What his point was, therefore, we didn't need those 80% of those people. And that was kind of an instigator of the situation that a lot of other tech companies, tech giants, such as Alphabet, who owns Google, or Meta, who owns Facebook, or Microsoft, or Amazon, started kind of replicating almost, so to speak, what Elon Musk did, and they start laying off tens of thousands of people. In fact, as recent as, I think, yesterday, Intel just announced that they laid off 15,000 employees, which is about 15% of their workforce. 15,000 employees, 15% of their workforce. So roughly speaking, 100,000 employees obviously they had. So this is the current trend, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop soon or kind of subside soon. So, okay, it is what it is. This is what the reality is showing right now in the current job market in the United States. But on the other hand, if you look at what's BLS is saying, BLS is being Bureau of Labor Statistics. I'm sorry. Their numbers are kind of depicting a little bit of a different picture. Although they're saying the unemployment went up to 4.3%. Now, let's put that in perspective. What is 4.3%? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it high or low? Okay, everything is relative, right? We got to look at the trend. As of January of this year, January 2024, unemployment was still standing at 3.6%. And now, 8 months later, unemployment, actually the official numbers came out a couple of months ago, after 6 months, after first half of the year, it went up to 4.3%. Well, that's actually a good increase. It's not a little increase. In economic terms, it's a kind of a sizable chunk. If you look at the if you compare the two ratios, it's a good chunk. So, okay, but still okay, still kind of manageable. It's not horrible. All right. One other fact, again from BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, they say, these are official numbers, that there are 8.1 million job openings in the entire continental United States. 8.1 million jobs are open. And number of people are looking for jobs are 7.1 million. So, okay, if you say this to anyone, people are going to say, okay, what's the problem then? 7.1 million people are looking for jobs. There are 8.1 million jobs opening. All right, there are jobs for everybody, right? But if you delve into those jobs, mostly, overwhelmingly, those jobs are in kind of service areas and lower paying kind of areas and jobs, hospitality area, retail businesses, and most of those jobs, by their nature, are not paying anything comparable or similar to the kind of jobs that we're talking about here. And especially if you look at the number of job openings in the technology area, and again, I repeat, when I say technology jobs, I don't necessarily mean just the jobs that are opening or advertised by the tech companies, but it's all the industries, all the companies, banks, insurance companies, marketing companies, you name it. All these companies, small or large or mid-scale, have IT, technology jobs, right? And altogether combined, number of tech-related positions are much, much less than number of people looking for these jobs. So it's not that 7.1 million versus job seekers versus 8.1 million new jobs opening is not explaining anything. Because for each job, they kind of roughly estimate, for each job open in this area has multiple very qualified senior level candidates. Not one, not two. It is a market now that not a single computer science graduate from even top schools are being able to find a job, even after 500 or even 1,000 applications sent out. This is absolutely not the market for the newcomers into industry, however good schooling they have, however hot degrees they have. It's not the market for them now. The competition is amongst people who are very senior. So it is to the point actually that in the past, and past is not 10 years ago, up until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, even 3-4 years ago, these companies, big companies, large corporations, they were physically going to college campuses, big name college campuses, and they were setting up tables as a part of their recruitment efforts to recruit the new graduates from computer science departments or management information systems departments, or related kind of software related or computer science, IT, those kinds of or maybe MBAs with the kind of emphasis on these. They were trying to recruit those people. They were setting up tables up until 3-4 years ago. Right now, we're not seeing that. What they're saying is this trend kind of come to an end. Not a single company, not a single corporation is going to college campuses and setting up tables to recruit the potential candidates. So that alone is kind of indicating a major shift, a major change within the industry. Obviously, no trend, and like I said before at the beginning, IT is not an exception. Technology sector is not an exception to this. There is a boom cycle like we experienced that for several years, and we wrote that with good pays and everything, and there is a bust cycle. So it's cyclicality, the nature of the business cyclicality of this sector, just like many other sectors, is such that anyone working in this area actually should be keenly aware of. And while working and getting paid well and everything, you should be smart. I mean, money smart, financially money smart, and kind of save up your money because there's always there's down cycle, which I lived actually in 2001, and that was a really bad. The famous dot-com crash that happened in 2001, and right now what we're experiencing is not as bad as that one. It was to the point that right now, as I'm mentioning, 2001 dot-com crash, everybody knows it with that name. It's kind of like 2008 mortgage crisis or 2020 COVID. That basically carved its name in the economic history. Right now, what we're doing, what we're experimenting, is not very good. It's bad, but it's not as bad as that one. But we're gonna see how long, because right now, people cannot see the end of the tunnel. It is still going on. Companies are still laying off people. So, like I said, all these things are a factor. The overhiring during the COVID, or after, during the COVID recovery, I should have said, overhiring contributed to that. Okay, they're getting, they're reducing the fat, so to speak. They're shedding fat, right? They're trying to get lean. Companies are trying to get lean. But I tell you what, it looks like companies are really now really lean. They're operating at extreme low fat levels. That's what I'm trying to say. And the interest rates. I believe what we're experiencing now, as far as the U.S. job market, Federal Reserve should start talking about emergency rate reductions to be able to control and stimulate the hiring process. Because again, the unemployment absolutely went up from 3.6% to 4.3%. That is a serious indicator. It's not a joke. The number 4.3% might sound little to a lot of people, but if you look at the trend and analyze by factoring in many things, it is a serious indication of problem. And unless this problem is being handled carefully by monetary policy and or by fiscal policy, monetary policy in this case is the one I just mentioned, Federal Reserve's decisions on the interest rates, it has a huge impact. It'll be only getting worse. Some people are putting, you remember I said, they're putting the blame squarely on artificial intelligence. I strongly believe that doesn't explain it much. The role of the function of artificial intelligence in this picture does not have a lot of explanatory power. In other words, AI is not one of the major attributes of this contraction in the U.S. employment market. In the future, we all know that AI, and right now we're living the AI 1.0, as AI progresses in the future, It will change the whole entire landscape of the industry. We all know that. We are all aware of that. But this is not it, because AI is actually not there yet. And when I'm saying it's going to change the entire industry, entire landscape of the workforce, yes, it will have a huge impact. A lot of people will lose their jobs. In fact, a lot of positions will be eliminated forever, for good. And new positions, new functions, new roles will be created that we cannot even think about now. That's a fact. But this current situation cannot be explained by bringing AI as a sole contributor to the problem. That's what I'm trying to say. So the problems are more traditional type economics related, such as the overhiring, the interest rates. Companies are busy getting lean and more efficient ways of working. But it's not going to be able to go like this. It cannot continue this trend because the layoffs are contagious in the economy. Meaning, this many layoffs I just mentioned, 3 years of layoffs, we're talking about hundreds of thousands, getting close to half a million people being laid off. This is a contagious situation and it will basically spill over the general economy. Once this happens, which I believe strictly that it will, and in fact we're seeing its indications by seeing what's going on in different industries, non-tech related areas, then I believe Federal Reserve will get that message, will get that signal, and will review their interest rate decisions. I strongly believe they seriously should consider, I hope as soon as possible, reducing the interest rates. Fighting with inflation, I get it, very important. But what is the cost of reducing? Right now it's about official numbers, I'm saying, is 3%. What is the cost of reducing, what was the target number? 2%. What is the cost of reducing one more percentage point, the inflation, one more percentage point? Its cost will be way worse, its impact in terms of unemployment. 4.3%. If it is acceptable, let's say it's acceptable. If it goes up to 8% or double digits, 10%, is it still going to be acceptable? That's what I'm trying to think. That's what I'm kind of asking myself. That's why somehow one of these days, hopefully within next couple months, hopefully, Federal Reserve will start playing with, at least start talking about reducing. They were talking about it. We all know that. They were planning to reduce by summer. Didn't happen. They kind of postponed it to fall sometime in, I think, October or November. Well, I believe they should, get their act together and start talking at earlier stages. Maybe end of August, sometime early part of September. I believe they should really be concerned with that. So, yeah, this is, when you look at it, overall numbers, a person who is doing everything to find a job, talking to those endless conversations and endless and meaningless, I would say, conversations, phone calls from recruiters, and or nowadays when you go apply jobs either from Flex Jobs or LinkedIn and Monster or Glassdoor or Career Builder or Dice, companies are really forcing people now, almost so many of them, maybe not 100%, but many of them, most of them, they're forcing the applicant to go through a lot of hoops. They want the applicants to create a profile, to go through a lot of questions, 15, 20 questions, kind of gathering, collecting information, just so at the end of that process, after the applicants spend maybe 1 hour for each application, to decline them, even before reviewing it. Or maybe just an email comes and saying, hey, that's sorry, this and that. Or most of the time, actually, there's not even a response, to be honest with you, right? We all know that. My case, so far I've been doing a lot of contract jobs as a data analyst. And believe me, typically between jobs, finish up one contract, typically either I was finding a new one and I wasn't even waiting, finishing up one and starting a new one, maybe in a couple of weeks, there was some kind of a transition. Or, okay, I was maybe spending a month or two. And I wasn't even sending a single resume or single application because recruiters were calling me and they were actually keeping me so busy that I wasn't even having time to actually go ahead and find whatever I'm interested in and creating a profile and sending an application, sending a resume. I didn't even have time to do that because they were keeping me so busy. But in this phase is different. I kind of started utilizing resources such as flex jobs, which is actually $30 a quarter, so $10 a month service. And actually, so far, I never had to pay anything for any of those, like a Monster or Career Builder. Or first time ever, I started also looking into federal jobs. And for this, I created a profile with U.S. Jobs, or Jobs USA, I think, and created a profile. And I sent 3 or 4 jobs. To my surprise, I got 2 emails back saying, you were declined because of blah, blah, blah. Well, it's interesting. At least I got an email. That's a good encouraging thing. So what I'm saying is this whole thing changed so much that, it's kind of forcing me to change the way I've been interacting with this process. And one other thing, I also noticed that unlike in the past, and we were always dealing with recruiters. I mean, I was particularly and heavily always interacting with recruiters. But the offshore recruitment agencies now is very, very heavily represented in this business. And a number of offshore companies are calling me, and I kept track of all my job search efforts because there's a lot going on. You got to be able to track and stay on top of your job search efforts, otherwise everything gets out of control. Totally, just you can't even manage it unless you have a good tracking system. So I've been tracking very carefully in very detailed manner in Excel. And I can look at my numbers, the current numbers, especially the ones representing the offshore agencies versus the past times. I can see in my system is representing the last 12 years, 12 plus now. Last 12 years, I can absolutely see a definite trend of the offshore agencies like going like this. A steep increase, especially the last several years. So that tells me, and it's everybody's public knowledge, and anyone in this area can attest to that. These folks, not all of them are really legit. So many of them are really scam, actually. Either scam, they're trying to kind of gather your information to kind of whatever they want to do, or they're not doing a good job. They're not professionals. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to listen. They cannot interact at a professional level. I mean, let's face it. I've been in this business over 2 decades now. And I'm a senior level data analyst. When I interact with a recruiter agency, I expect a minimal level of professionalism because that person is going to represent me to the client to the hiring manager at the client company. And after a couple minutes of talk with this guy, with this person, I asked myself, is this the guy who's going to represent me to the hiring manager? Cannot even communicate clearly, cannot even understand what is being said, cannot even get into any kind of smallest amount of discussion. All they can do is to read the script that they're given. And if you deviate from that script, let's say, I'll give you a live example. If you're talking to native speaker, you can get into some kind of a small talk at least. Small talk, to a certain extent, obviously in business, needless to say, is actually very healthy. You kind of help building a context, so to speak, and build a rapport between the two individuals having this business professional conversation. And you try to do a little bit of a small talk with this person from overseas, offshore, right? They call it offshore. That's the almost, what is it? A proper way of calling it. Instead of saying India, they call it offshore, right? Okay. It's like today I asked the guy, I said, you're in India, right? I said. The guy was saying, I'm offshore. Is there a country like this? Like, where are you from, man? I'm from offshore. Okay, is that funny? Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I asked myself, this guy, I don't accept this guy, to present my skill set and package. I'm an experienced and senior level, and I take what I do seriously. I'm a professional, and I take what I do seriously, and I want to be presented to the potential hiring manager seriously at a professional level. And these guys cannot even put two words in English properly together. Cannot even carry out a conversation. Or, for instance, this was unbelievable. This particular one, he called me, and you know what he was asking me? He was asking me, Sharon, what's your date of birth? And I said this, dude, in this country, if you ask this question, your company can be sued because what you're doing is illegal. And then he was trying to get, oh, sir, because our client, I said, no company within the continental United States of America can ever ask the potential candidate's age. It is absolute no, it's illegal. And your company, if I want, I can go ahead and sue you. I can start a litigation process. But of course, you're not going to go there because this company is offshore. So, forget about it. And there are so many of these offshore agencies. Most of them are not legit, unfortunately infested the U.S. job market and basically creating nothing but noise and overcrowd in the market. Because I have a lot of respect. I worked over the years, over the last 2 decades, because of the nature of what I've been doing. I had to work with a lot of recruiters. And believe me, I have a respect to recruiters. I know how they work, just like a regular salesman. They work under a lot of stress. They got to meet their quotas. They got to work hard. They're competing against each other. They got to be good at what they're doing. They got to be professional. I work with a lot of them, and I have a lot of respect for them. But I tell you what, these illegitimate offshore agencies are basically creating nothing but stain on the recruitment business. So that's my personal opinion. I know, everybody who is in this line of business and interacting with these individuals, so-called offshore, are experiencing the same thing. Whether they bring it up, they say it, they don't say it, for whatever reason, I respect you all, but I'm saying it now. So anyway, that's the other aspect of being in job search phase, especially in the United States, because this country, the IT market, the United States, U.S. economy, U.S. IT market represent, you know what part of the world IT market? 33%. Exactly 1/3 of the entire global IT market is in the United States, U.S. IT market. Because of that fact, everybody's trying to get a share of this huge cake. And hence, the steep increase in those legit or illegitimate recruitment agencies out of India trying to get in this market. From there, you can easily tell. I mean, just yesterday there was one. When I pick up the phone, I tried to talk, and the communication was so goddamn bad, so bad that I had to tell this dude, fix your communication and call me because I don't understand a shit what you're saying. He was still going like this. Nothing can be understood. There's no meaningful communication at all. Forget about professional. There is no communication at all. It is just noise, static, whatever. It's because when they call from offshore, what they're doing is they're trying to use voice over IP. Why? Because it's cheap. Otherwise, they don't want to invest in the regular phone lines because it's expensive overseas, right? And those voice over IP calls, the quality, the connection quality is so bad. So hence this is happening. If the connection is kind of halfway decent, because they're asking me like, okay, is it better now? Well, it's not really better, but okay, I can try to understand what you're saying, and I'm trying to basically make the half of what he's saying or she's saying, kind of trying to guess within the context. That's it. That I don't call this communication. There is nothing professional about this communication style. Unfortunately, you also have to deal with that, and particularly given the fact that in this environment, where naturally we're all human, right? Naturally, we're going to have some days up, some days down. The market is such as such, everybody has their own, overall unique set of conditions. That's financial, that's emotional, that's family, this or that, and it's still every day you got to deal with these offshore individuals. So anyway, yeah. Thank you for listening to me. I just want to kind of, pitch in a little bit and more like kind of venting and sharing my experience with any of those folks going through the similar situation like I'm going through. And thanks. I appreciate your time and effort watching me. I tell you what, if you like it, just hit that, smash that like button, please. If you if you subscribe, I'd really appreciate it, or put a comment. If you're in the kind of a same boat, I appreciate that. And anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much. Talk to you later.